Well, we could talk about relationship with my dad, because I feel like that's the next topic that I want to...
All right, so give us a contrasting situation that has inflamed your awareness that you don't feel good about that. Just something brief.
Well, it would be a memory
Yes?
of a conversation with him.
But a memory is activated by something that
Right.
happened. So even if it's a memory, it's still a contrasting situation. In other words, something happened that reminded me of da-da-da-da-da-da. So make the statement, the contrasting situation, what is it that's sort of stuck in your craw there?
Well, I'll see something that will remind me of his differing of opinion with me on something, and I'll see it, and sometimes I'll even think, well, man, if he could just
All right,
read this, he would see it my way.
Maybe.
I don't want to think
maybe,
that.
but let's break this down in
I don't want to give a rip.
Let's break this down. Well, that's easier too, but it's really hard not to give a rip about someone that you've wanted to love your whole life. And it's easier to clean up your vibration than it is to not give a rip about some things like that. Really it is.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it doesn't matter. You'll get there, and you might not give a rip for quite a while until you find yourself in full love of him. But you see, you can't have lived life experience that caused you to want to love someone and then stay in a place where you don't love them and ever really be who you are. You got to close that gap, you see. Not for them, but for yourself. You've got to close your own emotional gap. So something happened, and it reminded me that he never really recognized that I had the power to make my own decisions, or that I had the ability to make good decisions. He always seemed like he was second-guessing everything that I did, and I always felt inadequate when he gazed my way. Pretty accurate?
Mm-hmm.
So something happened, and all of that sort of swelled up, and basically you're feeling the discontent in this moment. And probably what happened was somebody else gave you that sort of look. Something happened where the inadequacy that was sort of fostered in that relationship was now happening in your now experience, and so you're realizing that something that got started early on, you've never really gotten rid of, and on some situations it shows its ugly head again. And so there it is, you're feeling it. And so you write the contrasting situation, and then you say, and this has caused me to feel, and put words to the emotion. It's caused me to feel
Unworthy.
It's caused me to feel unworthy. I'm feeling inadequate. I'm feeling not enough, and I'm feeling damn mad about feeling like that. So that's how I feel. So now the next statement is, what has this situation that's just happened, what has it caused me to now desire? And we would say, I desire to clean this up with my dad. I desire not to drag this around for the rest of my life. I don't desire to go back and rework the relationship. I'm not even saying that I want to fix the relationship now. I'm just saying I want to clean this up so that I'm not dragging this around for the rest of my life. Isn't that pretty accurate?
That's accurate.
So now you've said it, now it's out there, and now, if you will feel, you can feel a vibrational awareness, crystal clear, of the 2 points of where I am in relationship to where I want to be. And now the work, and it's always the same, is just to ramble with the intent of reducing that knot in your stomach as you leave resistance behind. In other words, on one end of the scale is allowing, on the other end is resisting. So you just want to ramble till you feel better. And there's no right and wrong. In other words, the formula is, I'll just speak, I'll just throw it out like throwing mud on the wall and some of it sticks. I'll just speak and speak and speak and speak with one intent only. I want to reduce this knot right here and now. Don't have to fix my dad, don't have to make him understand me, don't have to understand him. That's not the work. The work is close a vibrational gap. So just ramble a little bit and see if you can do it.
Well, I know that he loves me. I know that that there was a time when I felt nothing but good things about him.
Now, if you can say those things without an inflaming of negative emotion, then that means you don't have really strong negative emotion going on. In other words, even being able to say that means that there's not severe discord within your vibration, because someone who really is full of a feeling of powerlessness and unworthiness that has been brought about by some direct relationship with some person cannot speak of love and stay in their own skin at the same moment. In other words, you'd rather speak of murder and mayhem than you would love if they have really rendered you powerless. So that's a good sign, because we didn't feel any movement up the scale in your emotion, but we felt you stable where you were as you said it. We didn't feel the vibration of love, but we didn't feel that it knocked you for a wallop either. So keep rambling.
Okay. I know that we agree on more things than we disagree.
Here's the thing that we want you to focus on here for just a moment. Remember, the goal isn't to fix the relationship, because what we got from you, and you agreed with it, we think we were all very accurate about this, is your goal is to just let this go. Your goal is to become the full autonomous being that you are. Your goal is to stand on your own 2 feet and be clear and proud of who you are, and to heck with what anybody thinks about it, because your father does not have, he didn't live your contrast, he didn't launch your rockets of desire, he doesn't know who you have become. He has no way of gauging where you are on the emotional scale. As much as he loves you and as much as you love him, he's an outsider in your emotional game. Everyone is, you see. He is an outsider. And so we want your dialogue not to be about fixing that. We want your dialogue to be about what you said you want, which is letting that go. Now, we're going to speak this for you, and we feel you'll come along with this easily. I want to get to the place where I can think of my father and almost feel humor about how long this has troubled me. I want to sort of take an outside view of it and look back on it and feel appreciation for what it gave me, and humor about how long I tortured myself with it, about something that he didn't have any ability to fix and I didn't have any ability to fix, and neither one of us had any responsibility to fix. Someone sent Jerry and Esther some music the other day, and it's music that he has adapted to Abraham's message, and he has put it together in a remarkable way, really wonderful lyrics, and his voice is the worst voice that Esther has ever heard in her life. And so they're playing this music, and Esther is on the floor because she loves the music, and it is the funniest thing. And she said to Jerry, please find some way of making me laugh like this every day of my life. She laughed until she hurt. She cannot remember the last time she hurt so much from laughing. She used muscles. She said, we don't need to walk or exercise today. I have done it all in listening to this. And so what we're getting at, we want you to be able to in other words, this was a very well-meaning person that Jerry and Esther very well may co-create with someday on some level, because there is something so extraordinary. The potential is amazing, and the current reality is incredibly not amazing. And the contrast between them made for hysterical laughter. There's no possible way that anyone cannot win from this. In other words, there's no way that anyone can be diminished, and she doesn't have any old baggage that she's trying to clean up about it. She's just standing in this moment, feeling this extraordinary mix of energies, which is giving her a humorous ride, maybe the funniest ride she's ever had in her lifetime. And we want you to aspire to that. We want you to be able to stand back and look at things that have formerly seemed so very, very important, and just feel the hysterical laughter coming over you as you don the perspective of your inner being. Friends, we don't want to hurt your feelings, but we laugh about your lives like that all day, every day. You just make such big, hairy deals over things that just do not matter at all. In your forgetting of who you are, and in your taking so very seriously where you stand, you see. So
that's what, if you were in my shoes, you would reach for that rather than reaching for rage or reaching for frustration.
If you reach for rage, you'll go the wrong way on the emotional scale. We don't feel you anywhere near rage. We feel you perplexed a little bit. It feels more like disappointment than rage. And the inadequacy that you were describing is very mild. In other words, we think that it only comes up on the rare occasion that someone reminds you of how he used to make you feel.
Yeah.
We think you've mostly left that behind, and you're wanting to experience the freedom of not having to avoid, get ready for it, insecure people that bring it up in you.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you are interacting with someone who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on, in their wholeness, they will uplift you. If someone fosters insecurity in you, they're not tuned in, tapped in, turned on in the moment, and they're not a good mentor or model for you in that moment. So as you see that, as something caused you to feel that way, you just sort of have to shake it off and say, well, something there is reminiscent of something, and again, and I want to free myself of that, and then you start rambling in this way. This only comes up occasionally. And it's interesting to me when it does come up. And I'm going to start taking notice about what's happening when it does come up. Maybe I can sort of pinpoint something there. But I suspect that it has something to do with something that was fostered a long time ago because I associate it with my father. And maybe I've been giving him too much responsibility about how I feel. And after all, he had no way of moving me up the emotional scale. I think we shouldn't have been dabbling in each other's lives quite as heavily as maybe I think we were. And maybe he wasn't dabbling in my life as much as I think he was. Maybe I think he wasn't dabbling in my life enough. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't live under his roof anymore. I am not responding to what he is telling me to do anymore. I am my own person. I am source energy in a physical body out here on the leading edge, living my own life, which has caused me to launch rockets of desires. And I have amassed a magnificent vibrational escrow. There is so much there for me. And the only thing that my life must be about is about me closing the gap on that which I have become. And I don't have to factor in what somebody else thought I should become or what somebody else thought about what I did become. All of that is irrelevant. It is humorously irrelevant. And a little session like that where you've written and brought yourself to that place might be the only time you ever have to do that. But if it comes up 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 20 times, can you imagine if you take the time to do that exercise for 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or 20 times, how much you'll clean up? And next time you see your father, you'll be vibrating in a whole different place. And now the people out there in the world who would look at you as he would look at you don't rendezvous with you because law of attraction brings you with different looking eyes, you see. When people look at you, they're reflecting back a vibrational match. Jerry and Esther will go into a coffee shop or a restaurant sometimes along their trail, and Esther will say, did you feel invisible? I felt invisible. And we want to say to them, sometimes it's good when you're invisible. It means you're not on this wavelength. In other words, you don't want to relate with every person, every place, on every emotional scale. You want to set your own tone and let the universe match you up with things that match that, you see. And you have no responsibility to go back and clean anything up for any other reason than it's unpleasant if you don't. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think I'll clean this up because it feels better. Oh, so you're going to repair your relationship with your father? Probably, but that's not my goal. What do you mean it's not your goal? My goal is to feel better. Oh, you selfish person. Indeed, indeed. I'm so selfish that I want to align with the being that I have become. Because that won't get squirrely on me. That will always call me forward. That won't be fickle. That won't be based on insecurity. That won't be guidance that I can't count on. That's always guidance that I can count on. And if there's anything that your parents were ever guilty of, and all of them were, it was not being able to be your guidance. Let it go. They never were supposed to be that.